everyone in the void. Phoebe Rizzo is back and at it again. So, what happens when you take Invasion of the Body Snatchers and cross it with The Breakfast Club? You get the faculty. Really tiny one on there. I actually do not have an individual copy, but I have a lot of collections. So, and that actually really does sum up the plot and premise of this one fairly well. The movie is about a alien invasion centered on a high school in the middle of nowhere, and well, as it spreads, students start noticing and doing what they can to expose it and fight back. The movie draws heavily from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, of course. They actually reference and discuss it as a point of reference for what's going on, but the Puppet Masters and a little bit of The Thing mixed in there as well. They actually have a test to figure out who is and isn't infected, and they have a kind of a scene that's like an homage to John Carpenter's The Thing's blood test, except for this one they have to do caffeine pills essentially in order to see if they're infected. So, and as for the Breakfast Club reference, well, pretty much all the tropes are there. There, you've got the jock, although he's actually trying to quit sports and focus on academics. You got the head cheerleader, who is also a member of the paper. You got the brain, played by a pre Lord of the Rings Elijah Wood. You've got the weirdo outcast, in this case played by Clea Duvall, and then the punk outsider by a very young Josh Hartnett, as he's been held back a year and is now selling fake IDs, drugs, and porn out of his car. And however, he actually seems to be one of the smartest people in the school, despite not applying himself. Now, the group also mixes it up by adding one additional trope: the new girl. Yeah, the new girl. Someone who just transferred into the school, and just before all this happens, from down south, and she's got a delightful southern accent, and she's the happy new girl that's just trying to fit in. Things start going weird when, well, the faculty starts acting weird. The coach is one of the first people to become infected by alien fish. A little weird, but stay with me. Now, the coach is played by Robert Patrick, who he's made for this kind of role. He is chewing every scene he can. Now, before he's infected, he is the hard-ass coach. He is cussing out his players, insulting them, belittling them. He literally goes and flips a bench at one point before just going off and storming off. So, going from that to just being creepily, sinisterly happy about everything, it was watching him alone as a ride. He makes a great villain. As it spreads throughout the faculty, Elijah Wood's character starts noticing things are being strange. He actually finds a dried out little fish thing that rehydrates it and starts trying to figure out what this new species is, with the help of science teacher, played by Jon Stewart of all people, who does very well in the role, actually. And as it goes along, more of the core group becomes aware that something's not quite right while trying to figure out how to fight back. It turns out one of the drugs that Josh Hartnett was selling is one mostly caffeine pills. However, it dries out the aliens, so anyone who takes a hit of his drug is, well, essentially they end up drying out and melting. However, they believe if they can find out the original alien, since after dissecting it they realize it's not a full organism, if they can find the original, they think if they kill it, everyone else should go back to normal. So it's who's the original, and can we trust anyone here? It has a lot of fun with it. And I will say, it's campy and cheesy, but it knows it is, and it's having fun playing with those tropes. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not trying to be The Thing with its oppressive, suspicious atmosphere. It never loses its sense of humor and charm. So it's more of a light-hearted alien invasion flick, but it still isn't afraid to go to places. Some of the things that are happening are still horrific. Namely, one of the faculty members getting a pen shoved through their eye. It doesn't shy away. I will say it's kind of crazy how quick Josh Hartnett goes from what's going on to pulling apart an old-fashioned paper cutter to just use it as a machete. But otherwise, it's fun to watch. That's really how it comes across. It's the best I can say. The CG is old, but they don't rely too heavily on it, so it isn't overly distracting. Usually when they're doing close-ups on the little fish, or when you see some of the some facial effects as things are moving beneath the skin, it's not. That's the kind of weak point there is the CG effects, particularly when they're encountering the big monster when it's swimming around. That said, they do, I think, for parts of it, use kind of practical effects to make them for the monster as well. So going back and forth there works, and it wasn't as distracting during the climax. Also, it's done in mostly of a dark pool and locker room, so it does help hide the CG a little bit there. And the monster design is very cool, as well as you get some insight into the monster's perspective. It doesn't waste. I don't know if I should say waste, but it doesn't go too much into where the creature came from. You get a little bit of it, but it leaves more to the imagination of why it's here and where it came from and why here. But it picks it up, runs with it, and it does a good enough job so that you don't think too hard about it. And that's kind of what this movie is. It's you don't think too hard about it. You just it's a good way to kick back and just relax with. It's got a really good cast, and the performances they turn in are very good. Particularly, again with Robert Patrick, he makes every scene he's in. Oh, don't know if there's too much else on this one. It's from 1998, if I didn't specify, so it's a little dated now, but it content-wise it holds up, even if the effects don't quite. Um, Otherwise, the soundtrack is also very late 90s. So it doesn't hold it against it, but makes it feel very teen movie. Um, that said, the characters, while they look a little too old to be in high school, it doesn't take too much to believe for some of it. I mean, Clea Duvall and Elijah Wood in particular actually do sort of look like they could fit into that. But Josh Hartnett definitely looks a bit old, but they did help go around that by saying that he was actually held back, so they are at least making an effort there. So they did a good job casting, for the most part, ones that look relatively good for the age range. I also do like just how much of a shithole this school is. At the beginning, they're talking budget, and they have no budget. And they're not shy about that. The principals say that, yeah, the art department, you get nothing. The computers, you get nothing. It's all going to the football team because what else do we have in this town besides football? Then you got the nurse who's coming into school sick because she wants to save her sick days for her days off, so she can take a day off. You've got then I think it's a history teacher who's drinking. You have the literature teacher who can't stand up to anyone or speak for herself. She talks at a whisper, and when she tries confronting Josh Hartnett, she just almost walks away crying. So the whole school's just falling apart. You see the faculty rounds, like the AC is labeled "Don't use," and it looks like the school's one bad. It looks like it's about to someone's gonna foreclose on it. It looks like if it was a business, it'd be on the way out. So it's kind of amusing how bad this school is, and the fact that when the aliens take over, it almost seems to be getting better and more properly managed is an interesting little turnaround. But the faculty, it's fun. I do highly recommend it. Versions in a collection like this aren't usually the greatest quality. This one's fine, but it definitely wasn't the sharpest picture. So I do recommend going for a full version if you get it, or pulling it up on streaming. I don't think and the movie's too hard to find by any means. Well, that's all for the second. Take care.